This is by far my favorite way to begin a new Stardew Valley game. I feel like it really sets you up for a good start to any challenge or even just a basic run through of the game. This route will give you the most money with casual methods, and then also let you meet all the villagers in the whole town all in one big loop. So the first thing you want to do is go outside and just start chopping trees down. You can clear your path a little bit, but mostly you only have time to chop down enough trees to level up in foraging and make a chest. Those are the two most important things. Usually that is around 100 wood in your inventory, or like, I don't know, what is that, 6 or 7 trees? So the main thing you're looking to do is get out of your farm by around 9 o'clock. 8:50 to 9:10, you're probably good. But you need enough wood and that foraging to skill up. Before you do that, just so you have a place to store your stuff. You'll be picking up a lot of junk along the way, so you really don't want to have a low inventory. I wouldn't waste too much energy clearing rocks or any other branches that are fallen, just because the energy becomes your main determining factor on how well your first day goes. So just cutting trees, slashing down the weeds, and occasionally cutting a path. That's pretty much all you want to do. And then also, if you ever have heard of animation canceling or you don't use animation canceling, you should really look into it. I made this video not using it just to be more accessible to newer folks, but I usually play with animation canceling, and it's so much quicker. It makes this feel pretty brutal, to be honest. So anyway, go place your chest up top and store everything you have except for all your tools, and just start heading down south. The biggest thing that kind of sucks about this part is you have to take everything with you. You need your hoe in case you see an artifact. You need your axe or your pickaxe or both in case any of the weed blocks are blocked by a stone or a twig. So anyway, I had sat down. And we're gonna start walking around, just picking up forageables and slashing all the bushes as we go. I got lucky and I got an artifact, which is not always common on the first day, but it helps out a ton. I don't know if you noticed a dandelion left down there, but I don't need to grab it now because I'm gonna do a full loop all the way around. So it'd be kind of a waste of time to grab it now. This route can be really, really tight sometimes. Like, the better your luck with foraging, the tighter this route is. And if you miss Jazz walking out of her house at like 11:20, it can mess up the whole rest of your day. And if you're like me, you'll reset, or some people just keep rolling with it. My forage is super, super lucky so far. Usually you only get like maybe 2 or 3 total, and then anywhere from 1 to like 20 spring onions. I think it's just random every time you start a new game. Which at least I have 4, which isn't terrible, or a little bit more. I usually will reset if I have less than like 3, because then I don't have enough energy to plant my seeds and mix seeds, I find. But in this case, 8 is pretty solid. I kind of eat them as I go. I don't know why I do that. I think it feels like less time if I eat them periodically instead of all at once, but it's not really true. So your loop that you're looking to make is all around the lake and then back up north. And you want to be back up at Jazz's house by 11:20, because that's when she walks out. And part of the goal of this full route is to meet everybody in the town, so that tomorrow when Willie shows up, you can just give him a gift and complete the quest instantaneously and get the money and hopefully be able to afford the fishing rod. You can see I'm just kind of screwing around here, burning time, because I usually wait until Haley walks out. It's kind of an indicator of your pace. And then once you get into town, I always just check all the trash. I like to wait until Leah walks by just because I don't like her yelling at me. You don't have to though, it doesn't matter if you haven't met her yet. And then you head into Emily's house. You want to be in there before noon because that's when she walks out of her bedroom. This one I always have too much time, but there's nothing else you can really do at this point. So after that, you just want to head out, and this next route is all pretty fluid. You don't really have to wait too much. You need to greet Penny, reading underneath the tree there. And you got to go up north and greet Marnie, who's coming out of Pierre's shop. I usually hit these trash cans out here, just because they're right there, and otherwise I'll forget to do it. And sometimes you get good stuff, like I just got a loaf of bread, which is sweet. I don't normally eat it right away, but in this case, since I have only 5 spring onions, I might as well use the energy. I usually save it for Mine's Day 1 or something. And then on the beach, I never check for forageables. Occasionally I'll check, but usually it's something that doesn't matter because you're going to go to the beach tomorrow anyway, so you can just pick them all up then and sell them right to Willie. And then in this case, since I found an artifact, I'm going to go into the museum and turn it in just to finish the quest. But otherwise, obviously you'd skip this part. You don't have to find an artifact day 1, but you really want to find it as early as possible, just for I think the extra 250 gold. And I always check these trash cans. Sometimes you get copper out of Clint's, which is really a big deal for the early game. And you have to go behind the counter to talk to him. And then if you head up north on this back route, you can hit this trash can here. It's always worth it to check trash cans, but you almost never get anything. And inside the Joja Mart, you got to talk to Pam, Sam, and Shane. They're all working. This is the easiest time to catch them. And when you talk to Shane, it just says he's too busy to talk to you, but it still counts as meeting him. So if you're just doing this for the quest, it's totally fine. So the behind the Joja Mart is the reason you have to have both the axe and the pickaxe. Sometimes it's a stone, and I've missed, which is great. Sometimes it's a stone, and sometimes it's just a stick. So you have to bring both or pre-run your route and see what your obstacles are. That's if you want to do some pretty hardcore min-maxing, which is kind of what I like to do. I don't get too carried away. But yeah, so meet Abby on the bridge, and Maru should be coming down from her house at that time. She isn't always, you might have to wait for a little while, but just depends on how quick you run. Then you meet Leah and Pierre up at Pierre's shop. I think this is the smoothest way for me to do this, but you can take a couple different routes to talk to everybody in the town square. I just clear that away because it's annoying. I don't like having the question mark hanging there. There's some bushes in the back here. Sometimes you get the mixed seeds, so it could be worth it. Then you want to meet Harvey, get the rest of the weeds, talk to Vincent, and then Jody and Caroline up here. I always miss one of them, and I have to restart, which is really annoying. But then you got Evelyn here. You can meet Maru here if you missed her from up north. And then Gus, who's my most forgotten, just because you have to go all the way around. But yeah, meet him and head over to George's. This one, I always end up having to wait in here just because the kid takes forever to get out of his room. So it's not the worst thing in the world. But then, so once you meet them, I think you should be at 24 people met, just to make sure that you don't miss anything. I usually check, and I probably showed, 250 for the relic or the artifact, and then I've met 24 people, so I know I'm in good shape. And so that's pretty rare. You don't normally get copper. It's not something I would reset to try for, but that's pretty sweet. That really sets me up for a pretty solid day 2 and 3. Now I don't have to worry about buying copper and dropping it and all that stuff to get the Clint cutscene early. I'll just guarantee get it tomorrow. So you got about, I don't know, an hour. You got until 5:50 or so to clear an area just to the path to head up north. But what I usually do is just kind of, you know, clear the minimal amount possible. But I have a ton of extra food, so I'm going to clear some extra rocks. And I think I'll clear like the cat area or dog area, if that's what you're into. It's kind of a tight timeline, but it's really just for your own path clearing. You don't have to worry too much. Then we're going to head up north and meet Sebastian, Linus, what's her name? No, we already met her. And we'll meet Demetrius. I usually don't empty my inventory when I go up north, just because you don't find very much. Occasionally you get leaks and maybe an artifact. But I usually have enough space. So yeah, go up and meet Linus. Make sure you check this far edge too, to make sure you don't miss any forage. And then you head around, and you only have to talk to Demetrius. God, I can't remember her name right now. But you already met her. She's the first person you technically met in the cutscene. And I always wait out here like a weirdo, waiting for Sebastian to pop out. Yeah, head back into the town. You're now gonna kind of hang out in the community center area, clear all the forage out of there, chop all the weeds. The reason you're chopping all the weeds is basically just for extra money. I usually save around 40 in my chest and sell everything else, just so I have enough for scarecrows and whatever other crafting I need. But that's another area right there where you might need the axe or the pickaxe. And there's always a few stragglers over here. And then I always take this path on the way back. You can grab anything you missed if your inventory was too full. And it's kind of hard to see some of the forage up top, just because the trees hide it a lot. If I have a ton of extra energy, I usually cut those trees down and leave just the stumps so they don't grow back. And then hopefully you have enough energy to plant at least your parsnips. If you don't, that's somewhere where I'd probably reset, just because that means that you can't even do like the minimum you would have done on a normal playthrough of just planting the parsnips. So I'd probably recommend resetting. On this particular playthrough, instead of eating all my spring onions, I'm saving one. But that's just because I have the remixed bundles and sometimes the spring onions necessary. I should also say I'm playing on a controller. I don't normally, but my hands are kind of messed up right now, so that's why my movements are pretty rough sometimes. It looks kind of like I don't know what I'm doing, I guess, but yeah, and I hoed way too much. This always drives me nuts, how long it takes to eat food. So that should get me enough to water the rest of my stuff. I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world, I guess, if you can't water everything, but it's just a lot better if you can. So yeah, just spend pretty much the rest of your night chopping weeds. If you have any extra energy at all, I tend to clear a path down. This is the one that gets blocked the most with all the rocks. And otherwise I just scythe stuff. I'm gonna try and get, I guess I already have enough seeds for all the extra spaces I hoed. Usually clearing weeds is the best way to do this because you'll have best thing to do right now. Just because you won't have energy, cleans up your farm, and you could get more seeds. It doesn't really matter what time you go to bed tonight, just because as long as you have that skill up earlier in the day from foraging, you will get full energy in the morning no matter what. So the only thing you don't want to do is pass out, because like right now you get 750 gold, or G's, and you'll lose, what, 10% of that. So it's not worth it, and it kind of kills you early game. So I always sell, I leave, all my wood, I leave all my stone, and then one of each community center item I got for the day, and sell everything else. You don't have to keep the community center stuff. You can kind of just hope that you'll find it in the next couple days. But it's kind of best to have the most money as you can coming out of the first day, just so you have, a better chance to buy a better fishing rod or the backpack or whatever you want to do first thing. That's what I really like about this route. It's very easy to master a path, or to go and scope out, the map before you do it all, to see if it's worth it, and try and have a really good start. I probably should plant those, but I'm kind of threading the needle right now with energy and time, so I'm not going to. I always move the bed over. You should move it one closer to the door because it makes more sense, but I don't like the way it looks, so I just don't do it. I probably could have done more. I got like 40 minutes, but I'm not going to. I feel pretty happy with the day, but in a true min-max way, you would totally start over because you wasted 40 minutes. And then, I ended up with, 467 gold, which isn't bad, but I also got the 250 from the architecture, or the archaeology task, so it's pretty good overall. And that copper is pretty big for first day. And now I just need to meet Willie, and I'm solid, so. And that's it. I'll probably keep rolling with this save. It's good enough for me, and I'm not trying to go for like a 20 million first year or anything, so I'm happy with that. I really do think optimizing your first day is pretty important if you're trying to do any kind of challenge runs or things like that, just because there's a huge snowball effect when it comes to making money in Stardew. So why not give yourself the best start,